Well, hi, everybody. Thanks so much for joining the August Idea Share. I'm Catherine Boyle with Key Ministry, and we've got a good group here assembled on a hot Monday morning. So just want to go ahead and get started. Who would like to start with what you have been working on since we got together the last time? Anybody have anything new or interesting they'd like to talk about? Tom and Julie, I'm looking at you. You always have something new and interesting to share. Are you not quite ready?
So I was coming into the call. There's so much going on. I don't know which one to pick. There's just so
Okay.
many things. It's kind of heavy right now. There seems to be a lot of families that are struggling. I don't know if this is true for you guys across the board with your ministries, but there's a lot of big stuff going on. Places where the families are not doing well together. And then sometimes, a person that has an autism diagnosis ends up getting arrested for something. And, those are heavy duty things. And then how do you support the family through those kinds of things? Because the system is not working well for a lot of them. So that's kind of where we are. That's why I was like, I don't want to start with a heaviness, but that's kind of where we are. But on a positive note, there we have had a really fun time over the last couple of months getting our adults with disabilities the opportunity to serve. So I know I've mentioned that from time to time, but the thing that they're doing right now that they love is being part of the host team, and that's a brand new thing. And the host team pastor has been so wonderful in incorporating them. He has room for 4 of them each week. And the problem is not getting them to come to serve. The problem is everybody comes to serve. So we have to tell them it's not your turn, even though we give a reminder, on Thursdays, we give a reminder. It's not your turn this week. So go back to class and then you can, we'll let you know when it's your turn. So that's been fun. And that's a wonderful problem to have because they love it so much and they want to do it. So also we are taking a group to World Help. We have a office, I guess, a warehouse here in the Lynchburg area. And so we'll be going over there in the next 2 weeks and serving at World Help. So, and we know that some of our people in our class also do it with their like group programs that they do during the day. And so some of them are already familiar, which is really fun because they're hyping it up and they're all excited about their friends coming. So that is a super positive thing. So that's kind of where we are right now.
Wonderful. Well, I knew there had to be a lot. So there always is. Well, yeah, and we've been praying for some of the things that you mentioned at the outset that are particularly challenging because that's just kind of the nature of some of this work from time to time. So, all right. So right when I called on you, Trace had her hand up. So I'm going to get to everybody. It's Trace, then Linda, then John. So,
Hey,
hey there.
um, so I'm super excited. Next Wednesday, every month, we host a community day where we just invite absolutely anybody, whether they go to our church or not, adult-wise, to come in and do something fun together. And this coming Wednesday, we are doing a guided paint along,
Okay.
and we've had 96 people register for it,
Wow.
which
Wow.
is like outlandish. Like it's double what we usually have in the afternoon. But this was this was a big draw last year and the year before as well. But this year, like it's like every year it just gets bigger and bigger. And for some reason, paint along. So there you go. If you're looking for something, apparently people love paint alongs.
So I'm envisioning this as like a big paint by number kind of thing. Is that what it
No,
is?
it's like a paint and sip that you might go to, right? On an
Okay.
evening
Okay.
where you go, there's someone who has uh, a painting that they guide you through each step and you're doing it yourself. So we have we made these I don't have one with me because I'm not at home, paintbrush holders out of those like silicone kind of bracelets that you'll get places. We
Yes.
punched holes in them to slide a paintbrush through so that you can just slide that onto your hand and use it without gripping at all.
Very clever.
So that's worked really well. We have like squishy, like the squishy pink curlers. We slipped those on top of some paintbrushes and we use those. And it turned out great. I've already practiced it like 3 times with a different, with groups of friends that and it comes out adorable every time. So I'm super excited.
That is really cool. That is really cool. Well, I hope that you share some photos
Yeah.
online so that we can all see how that goes, because I think that's a fabulous idea.
It'll be fun.
Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. All right, Linda Bunk, World Traveler. Where are you today?
I'm in Krumbach, Germany, which
Okay.
is an hour and a half west of Munich.
Okay. Okay.
So I'm here working with a local church with a Ukrainian teens camp. And this was the first day, and they asked me about salvation bracelets, and I'm like, I didn't know you wanted to do that. So luckily I found an art store. I found the product and I found a printer to print the card that gives you the explanation, and it's both in Ukrainian and German. Since most of these people have to learn German now, because if you want to live here and work here, you have to know the language.
Yeah.
It's very different, even in Poland. But I was in Poland. I left the States on July 21st, and I was in Krakow, Poland till the 31st. Then I was in Dresden visiting with some Ukrainian friends, trying to encourage them because they're very depressed because it's not cheap to live here. And I just told my one friend, I said, I think you need to make a decision. Are you going to make a new life here, or are you going to go back? But her husband is in the military, so that complicates things. So I suggested she should research and find a more reasonable place to live, because she has 3 kids, and you can't support 3 kids on a single income here. So that was, I haven't seen her in a while, but she seemed to understand, like, you have to make a decision. You either commit to staying here and work through the system, or figure out another avenue, So, but yeah, so that was good. And then I drove down here on Saturday, stayed in Munich, and then drove over here Sunday. And my Ukrainian friend likes Chinese food here, which is very bizarre. Like, I want German food.
Well, let's rabbit trail back to like the working with the teenagers today. So what else are you guys going to be doing this week? It's great that they wanted to make the bracelets and that,
yeah,
we're able to find that material. I mean, because like that wasn't a given for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there was this huge art store, and I had the lady help me make sure it showed me what side the beads were, but it didn't tell what kind of thread could go through it. So she opened it up and actually made sure it could go through it. And, I got everything, and then I found a printer to print the cards, but I will be speaking to them on Wednesday.
Okay.
I can see that watching them, that there might be some high functioning kids.
Okay.
Just by their mannerisms. It could also be the fact that they were ripped from their homeland, and being a middle schooler isn't easy.
Right.
Learning a new language and being in a culture that's completely opposite is difficult. It could be that, but it's primarily 13 to 16, but I think we primarily have middle schoolers and young high schoolers, but
Okay.
it's about 30 kids. I was able to get groceries today with them because they are not allowed to raise funds because they're not an official church. So they're
Okay.
not even allowed to solicit. I have to be careful not to be too public because I'm not sure where they are with their official designation, because in Germany, part of your taxes goes to a church. Yeah,
Interesting. Okay.
so I will be doing that, and they just had fun. It was fun watching them have fun. The pastor is very animated. So they were playing musical chairs, and then they only had one chair left and he stole it for a while from these two girls, you know. But yes, I will be giving my testimony on Wednesday.
Okay. Well, that would be an awesome thing for us to pray for. So thanks for letting us know about that.
Yeah, it was difficult the week I left because a young man that I photographed from late elementary to high school, he was diagnosed with schizophrenia and ended up taking his life.
Oh, goodness. I'm
And
so
it
sorry.
was just, when my friend called me about it, I was like, what are you talking about? You know? And it was just very tragic. Really nice young man, but unfortunately, he was groomed to be an athlete, and that wasn't happening. And it was just very sad.
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
this is two heavy things today. Well, I think I definitely want to talk through some more, but maybe it would be a good day to definitely have some prayer time. Because yeah, this is a couple heavy things. So, all right. Well, I'm going to go on to John. So, John Felligeller, welcome today, repping Johnny and Friends with your lovely shirt there.
You know, I have to promote where and how I can. Yeah, so hello from humid and stormy Chicago here today. And yeah, very excited to be with you guys and hopefully lighten the mood a little bit. I've got all conference, all the time stuff here to announce. So I've got a few things coming up. First of all, as many of you might know, we have the Global Leadership Summit here in the Chicago area that's coming up at Willow Creek this week. We're excited because Johnny herself is going to be coming out, and she will be not only presenting but receiving an award. So that's very exciting. We're going to have a booth there as well. So for those of you folks that might be attending that in the Chicago area, Alpharia, your camera's off, but I'm still looking at you because you're at everything. I don't know if he's planning on being there or not, but yeah, I'll be there for a couple days. So if you are there, if you're in the Chicago area, I'd love to see you. And then a couple early warning things to keep on your calendar. First, later this fall in October 10th, we're going to be doing our next Global Access Conference through Johnny and Friends. So, of course, this is a virtual conference where we usually have guest speakers of some notoriety come on and share on a variety of different topics. What's cool about this next coming one, first of all, I will be your moderator for that. So I'm very excited about doing that for the first time. And one of our keynote guests is going to be none other than Key Ministries' own Christine Boyle, not Catherine Boyle. That would have been cool, but we got Christine Boyle. So it's pretty cool. She's going to be one of our guest presenters there. I actually did a podcast interview with her a couple weeks ago, and I'd been working on helping out with, organizing this one specifically, and I didn't realize that we already had booked her. So I'm like, that's great. So if you are interested in that, that'll be promoted through the Johnny and Friends website. So just look for that. It's only about like $15 to register. It's a great virtual event, and then you can always watch it after as well. And then very, very early warnings, but next fall, October of 2025, we will be hosting a very large disability conference here in the Chicago area. It's going to be hosted by our local Johnny and Friends office in partnership with one of our main church partners here called Faith Church in Northwest Indiana. So this is going to be a huge regional / national disability conference. It's going to be the first weekend in October of 25. Don't pin me down on the dates, but it's the first weekend. So we are already in the process of organizing that. I don't have a lot of other information for you guys yet, but that will be forthcoming. But right now we have a date, we have a location. So first weekend in October of 25 in lovely Northwest Indiana, right over the border from Chicago. So please keep that on your calendars if you're interested in attending. If you're interested in even being a presenter, we'll be putting out some information about that soon as well. So look forward to all of that. Thanks.
Wonderful. Wow, that's a lot. So John, if you have like links to the a link to the October 10th event, if that's something you want to drop in the chat, we can make sure that that ends up, in the link for this recording as well.
Yeah, I don't know if I have the link for that yet, but
Okay.
we'll get it to you. Either
Okay.
myself or Ryan, who I see is on here too. We'll get it to you. So
Okay. All right. Wonderful. Yeah, I saw that this past week was 57 years since Johnny had her accident, and she had this great quote. And I hope I don't misquote it, but hopefully you get the heart of it. It was that sometimes God allows what he hates to accomplish what he loves. And I just think that is such a beautiful way of looking at challenges of any kind, really. But I mean, just what an amazing life she has experienced, and she has let God experience, let God do through her when she could have not. So it's really a lovely thing to see, how God has shaped the disability ministry movement largely because of her. So
absolutely.
okay. So who else has something going on? Cynthia.
Hi, everybody. We had our third special needs VBS specifically designed for them last week. And we had 25
Wow.
participants, which that's our largest yet. And we had to cap it at 25. And we were basically set up to have, we were trying for 2 volunteers for every participant. And we were almost there. We had 40 volunteers. Wow. And this was my first event where we had all ages from kinder through a 50-year-old.
Wow.
And we separated into rotation crews by school, basically, primary, and then high school, young adult, and adult. It was highly successful. This was the first time they rotated through events through different rooms. So it was highly successful. We're planning on probably having 50 next summer.
Wow.
That's the growth that we've seen. It's doubled each year. Where we're doing, it was really super. Right now we're working on just some physical improvements to our older building to make things more ADA accessible, to connect our youth student area with our sanctuary so that the participants don't have to go outside and around through our special needs entrance. So that's in progress right now. And we are planning our next event, which is a glow party and karaoke night, which was a huge hit. We did that last year. Huge hit. We're expecting probably around 50 participants for that. Our volunteer base keeps growing and growing, which is awesome. And we're meeting now with some local nonprofits that either they're independent living centers, where we went and presented one of our VBS nights just last week to about 50 participants and did a foam party. And now we're partnering with an autism specific nonprofit called Angels Bridging Gaps, and they do a Christmas event. And so we'll host that Christmas event. So we're trying to add more events for our community using partnerships as well as putting on our own events. So right now our goal was to have quarterly events, but through partnering with the nonprofits, it looks like we're probably going to be doing every other month events. Wow. Which is kind of front loading everybody on leadership team, because I'm like, we can do this every week. So we are moving forward with that. We do, we sponsor a roundtable meeting that we do along with Johnny and Friends comes out with us. with our local churches, and that took a break for this summer because of all of the VBS action. So we're looking to have that start up again in September, which is always good to hear what everybody else is doing. So that's what's going on.
You don't have much going on. It's just a couple little things. Wow. Wow. That is wonderful. Well, and as I'm sitting here listening, and everybody else, if you've got a question or a comment on all these amazing things that's going on with Cynthia's church, but I'm just wondering, like, are other churches in your area kind of catching the fever, so to speak, when they're seeing all of the success of what you guys are doing and how you are starting to partner with organizations in the community? Just curious about, is there an impact that you're seeing?
Yes. So First Baptist Merritt Island, which is they're part of our roundtable. They are beginning their first adult with disabilities Bible study in September, and that's a weekly event, and they're really excited about that. And they decided, okay, we can do this, and you don't have to have all the answers. And that's what I kind of tell everybody. You're never going to be trained enough. You're never going to have all the answers. And just go in there with your eyes open and ready to solve problems. And so they're pretty excited. They have 5 that have registered so far, but and that was last week, and they just publicized it. They just promoted it at this last Sunday's services. So they're looking for more. We've been talking about how to share volunteers because we're all background checked, but through our churches, which is different than with the school district. Like with the school district, I'm a volunteer with Brevard County, so I can go to any of the schools. So that's kind of like, how do we share that information so that we can share volunteers for some of these things? But yeah, they're really excited to start their adult classes.
Wow, that is phenomenal. And I mean, and just the whole concept of sharing the volunteers too, because I mean, you all know, I mean, getting volunteers is a continual challenge. I mean, even if you've got a great team that are dedicated, I mean, people have lives, I mean, there's sicknesses and emergencies that come up. And so, I mean, this is really quite creative, and I think, something that a lot of churches could probably do. So, wow, that is tremendous. Thank you so much for sharing. That's really tremendous. All right, who else has something to share? Tony, good to see you, Tony.
Hey, you too. Hi, everybody. Related to what Cynthia just said, we do a monthly Bible study group with people in the disability community, and been doing it for about a year. And it's led by people in the disability community, and it's our son Jake named it after one of the Rocky movies, Hearts on Fire, from a Rocky song, and we thought that's a pretty good name. And so it's been going, and participation is okay, but we got to do a better job of publicizing it and everything like that. But that is something that I was just in conjunction with Cynthia, that we could do stuff like that everywhere. I mean, that's, and the other thing we've been doing, I think I mentioned this before, is in conjunction with Fellowship of Christian Athletes. And we've also been doing, in conjunction with them as well, the FCA All Abilities Camps. And we've been doing that for 4 years. And I think that's spread all over the country now. And that was initiated here. And it's a camp, just like an FCA has a basketball camp or a football camp. It's a all abilities camp, and there's stations, and there's a soccer station, the baseball station, and then there's prayers mixed in there, and presentations, and Jake and I and our other students are, we have the fitness station. And we also had, I think I mentioned this already, we also have 3 individuals from the special needs community that are certified fitness instructors. We put them through a course. We got our son Jake, We got a young man on the spectrum. We got a young lady with some developmental delays. And and we also do some Zoom exercise classes. So, but the camp thing is really taken off well. I see Deanna, are you aware of that? You're muted.
Yeah, Dina. There you go.
Yes, we've been working with an FCA guy down here for about a year and a half. He was in the mainstream FCA, but it got exposed to what you're doing. Bob Durham, you may know him. And
Yeah, I've heard of that, yeah.
We've done a lot with him, and he's working with other churches and disability day programs and stuff throughout our community. It's going over very well. We haven't done the kind of camp thing you're talking about. We've done like an individual sports, a basketball camp. But yeah, it's all good stuff. He's a great gift to us.
Cool. So that's been going good, and the huddle's been going okay. So one of my thoughts is to do Jacob's Ladder fitness at other churches, and we're actually working on one right now in South Carolina, but to do that kind of thing where you organize it, we can help you do that and do physical training on a weekly basis, and then we do prayer groups and that kind of thing. So that's just throwing that out there. We're starting to work on that a little bit, but we don't have that completely developed. But the Hearts on Fire thing is going pretty good.
Wonderful. Well, and if any of you are, you're hearing something that somebody is doing and you're interested in having it, at your location, I definitely encourage you to reach out, if whether, you're interested in the kind of thing Tony was talking about or some of the other ideas that are being used in other locations. I mean, phenomenal ideas and very successful things that are being discussed today. So great feedback from all of you so far. So who else has something that they'd like to share? Julie.
So this reminded me what you were saying and what we're all talking about is that we had the wonderful privilege of meeting someone from Colorado at the Disability in the Church conference in Florida. And she stopped by our table, our exhibitors table, and she loved what Amy does, our daughter Amy, who has a ministry really all of herself. And the devotional book that Amy wrote, she bought and she took it back home, and then she got in touch with us. And she said, I really want Amy to speak to our adults with disabilities at our church. Well, it's Colorado, and that's a little far for us to travel in our situation. So she said, we could do it by Zoom. And so so Amy is going to give the talk that she gave at Disability in the Church, Bloom Where You're Planted, to this group of wonderful people in their church, adults with disabilities. She's going to do that. And then she asked if Tom and I would speak to their parents. They have a parent group, and we're going to do that. So Amy will do her thing in September, and then we'll do our thing in October, and we're going to do it all by Zoom. So that's what you're talking about, Catherine. You get to meet people, and then you can collaborate and do, bless people all over the country. So that's been fun.
That's right. Wonderful. Well, thank you for sharing that. That's we love to hear that kind of feedback about our conferences, our events. So, thank you for sharing that, because that wasn't something I knew about. So awesome. All right. Let's see, who has something else? Got a little bit of stuff going on in the chat. Marta, I'm sorry about your camera, and I don't know what to do. So anyway, I apologize for not having the ability to turn your camera on. And maybe it's on your end, but
I think it's on my end. It's my laptop. So sorry about that.
okay. All right. No worries whatsoever. So who else has something to share? Sylvia.
Yes. Hi, good afternoon. Yeah, we did Vacation Bible School last week, actually, in conjunction with our church Vacation Bible School, where we had like 5 or 6 individuals with disabilities, but they were incorporated. There were a number of students with disabilities that were inclusively involved and invited into some of the typically developing classes where we had probably about 650 students participating in Vacation Bible School. So it was a little hair raising, but it was busy and it was good. This week we started a backpack project where we solicit support for our volunteers to donate supplies, and we send an email out to parents soliciting needs so that we can support them and fill backpacks and get school supplies or whatever they may need. In fact, I'm getting ready to email a parent who only gave me the name of one child who said she had 4 children, but the other 3 children do not have special needs, but we try to support the whole family. So we're going to be working on that. I've had a number of new parents to finally decide that they want to attend church with their individual with disabilities.
Wonderful.
And literally told me, we have not been to church in 3 years since my child was born. So it's just exciting to be able to see the growth that is happening in the community, as well as a growth in volunteer support that is so needed. So that's what we're working on right now. And we are also doing Willow Creek. John, we will be a host site here at First Baptist of Glen Arden in Maryland on Thursday.
Wonderful. So I assume it's sort of like a live stream thing where, you know, you come, and so it's like the giant screens and everything is broadcast. And okay. How many people do you anticipate? Have you guys done this before? Do you have any idea?
We did it a while ago. We haven't done it in a while, but we could average probably about 500 people.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
Sylvia goes to a ginormous church. And when you're talking, I'm curious, do you guys do any kind of volunteer sharing, like was discussed a few minutes ago with Sylvia? Or with Cynthia, I'm sorry.
I heard her, but it's really, really difficult because of fingerprinting and rules and regulations about sharing information.
Right.
And we have our own fingerprinting staff who only fingerprints members of the church. So it's not possible just yet. I'm not saying it's not ever a possibility.
Right.
But no, we don't do that right now.
Gotcha. I just know you guys, you know, are so large, you know, I mean, you really are very representative of a, you know, very large kind of church, and not, you know, most people probably are not involved in churches that are nearly that big. So just curious. So, okay. All right. Linda has her hand raised. Yes, ma'am. You're on mute.
Yes, so this year at a regular power camp for FCA, they had a disabled young man lead a devotional. Not their special thing. Their, you know,
Their regular sports camp.
Their regular sports camp.
Mhm.
Carroll County FCA had this young man in a wheelchair, and I was like, wow, that's awesome. They're starting to integrate it with stuff with everyone, which is what I love. I
Right.
want it all to belong. And yeah, there's important aspects of access ministry, but if you're at a church where worship service isn't open to all, and it's more broad, there's a problem. Because not only the disabled, but like the elderly or a mom with a baby.
Right.
You know, like I'm here in Germany, there's not a lot of accessibility because bathrooms are down the steps. So if you have a child that is in a, you know, a stroller, you gotta get the child out of the stroller, go down these steps. It's crazy. It's like there's no elevator, but and it was like that in Poland. A lot of places or we take it granted for that, but I'm just so happy to see what's going on in FCA Maryland, and I hope that it starts broadening in FCA,
Mhm.
have these disabled kids included in huddles and other things, so.
Yeah. I'm curious, for Linda or anybody else. So when your church, if you have done partnerships with organizations like FCA, have you seen students have leadership roles in some of those camps, or are there coaches that participate that are individuals with disabilities?
The leadership roles, the way FCA works, the huddles and stuff, is led by students. They have chaperones who are our teachers that are kind of partner with FCA. But in the public, it depends on your state. In Carroll County, Maryland, it has to be led by the students. So, but the camps are they have leaders and then they have the huddle leaders.
Mhm.
So it's kind of both. They have, the older adults, and then I would say high schoolers, the upper high schoolers that run the camps and
Mhm.
work with the kids.
Okay.
So I believe this young man was a senior at one of the Carroll County Public High Schools that got involved with being a manager
Mhm.
of a team.
Mhm.
So he belonged to the team.
Mhm.
He wasn't
Right.
included, he was part of the team.
Right.
So I suggested to Brandon, who runs FCA Maryland, why don't you find like a group home, get the high schoolers to come over and go bowling with them if you can. Have them
Mhm.
bring them to the bowling alley and you team up the kids.
Mhm.
That'd be awesome, you
Right.
know? So he's thinking about it, so.
Very creative. Very creative. Anybody else? Anybody already working on their fall programming, or have you started putting it into action, or your back to school programming? Or are we still a few more weeks ahead of that? A few more weeks. Julie.
We have a Bible study for parents that is coming up every Wednesday night, starting in September. And we're actually going to go through the Fresh Hope material for that.
Awesome.
That you wrote, Catherine. So we're really excited about
with some help.
that. So we're excited about getting that started. So that's going to start in September. And then we have once a month in that group, we invite extra people and we call it the gathering. And it's kind of not just for the people that are in the Bible study, but we open it up to the community, and we have things like door prizes, which draws people, right? And they're silly little things, but it's just exciting. And we have a speaker usually, and so we're working on our speaker team now, trying to figure that all out. And that'll start in September, also mid-September. So we've got that coming. And then women's Bible study at our church has like about 250 women on a Tuesday morning and on a Tuesday evening. And we have table leaders. I am a table leader, and I lead women who are somehow associated with disability. So whether they have a disability themselves, Amy is part of the group, or they are parents or moms or grandmas or aunts or, friends, but they are at our table. And we usually have a registration of we're supposed to have 8 people at our table, no more. Well, we usually have a registration of about 13 people at our table, but not everybody comes every week. So we kind of get in under the radar under that. So I just tell them, yes, you may come. I'm never going to say no. And so if we have 13 people around the table for a week, that's going to be fine. We'll just go grab chairs from somewhere. We're not going to let anybody not be a part of that. So those things are coming up for us.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Anybody else have something that they're they're especially excited about, or think is going to be interesting to your church and your community coming up for fall? Yes, Cynthia.
One thing we did with our special needs VBS is we did a parent meetup room.
Okay.
which was a suggestion possibly at this roundtable. It was amazingly successful. We had parents helping other parents with legal resources, with school resources. We had one parent that was like, I'm an IEP family advocate. Please call on me. There were numbers exchanged, but then additionally, we ordered Joni's devotional, the Pearls of Wisdom. I'm not sure what it was, but it's skipping my mind right now. And we're going out to do home visits and deliver that devotional along with a little postcard thanking the participant for coming to VBS and inviting them to our fall glow party in October. And we're trying to just make more connections with those families to make sure they understand they're welcome at church. Most of the group we had is it's a church group. They do attend in a variety of different churches all around our county. We're hoping to create more of a network between those families and offer quarterly a parent night where we provide activities for participants and an opportunity for parents to network and just provide some scriptural prayers, just anything that they kind of need from us spiritually. So that's something that we're planning for, hoping to start by January.
Wow, fabulous. Fabulous. Lots of great stuff there. Thank you so much for sharing that.
I have a question.
Yes, sir, Tony.
Tom and Julie, your daughter wrote a book. It's a devotional, did you say?
Yes, it's called Heart Recharge, and you can find it at heartrecharge.com or on Amazon.
And
Recharge.
heartrecharge.com. And what is it again?
It's a devotional book. So it starts out with a Bible verse, and then she goes into telling how that Bible verse affects her in some kind of way. And then there's a my turn, or your turn, I guess it's called your turn. So where you can engage with the material in some kind of way. And it might just be going outside and using sidewalk chalk and drawing something on the sidewalk, or, getting deeper into the word and some other scripture, lots of different ways that she has to engage with the material.
But it's designed for working with people in the disability community?
Not necessarily.
Not
We
necessarily,
have had all
okay.
different groups. Yeah.
But it can be.
Yes, it can be. Absolutely.
Okay. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and thank you, Catherine, for putting that on message, heartrecharge.com.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, we've had a little activity in the chat. If you're watching after the live conversation on August 5th, heartrecharge.com is the link that was just shared, the devotional that was written by Amy Meekins. And then just some discussion back and forth, some sharing of contact information back and forth among some of the participants. And Ryan Falk put earlier when we were talking about some information that was shared about not having to have all the answers. I mean, that's a huge mindset shift, I think, that needs to take place in a lot of ministry leaders as far as helping disability ministry move forward, is that we don't ever have all the answers about anything. So just being willing to try and being willing to ask questions, that's the right kind of mindset and approach that is needed when we're talking about particularly about something that may be brand new to a church or ministry team like disability ministry. So, okay, well, we've got about 15 more minutes. So is there anything else that any of you would like to share? This has been a phenomenal discussion. I really appreciate all of your time today. Alferia, I'm looking at you. You always have something going on, and you're always traveling like Linda. You're always going to interesting places.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. Last month I missed. I actually got interviewed on a Christian television station in Akron, Ohio, the same day as the meeting. So I was on the road back to New Jersey during the meeting, but it was a good interview, positive thing about disability work. Um, yeah, I'm trying to get better equipped, more information. Just like I'm planning on going to the mental health conference in Cleveland
I saw that. Thank you.
in September. I signed up 10 minutes before the price went up.
Beautiful.
And
I love that.
just to learn more about that, I plan on being in France for another kind of family retreat, the beginning of October.
Okay.
And I'm probably in the DMV area, DC, Maryland, Virginia. So I might visit Sylvia's church later this month and see what's going on there. So I like visiting ministries. I got to visit a big one in Michigan last month as well. So they were at Disability in the Church. So yeah, just kind of seeing what's happening, different places, and getting inspired by that.
Fabulous. Fabulous. Yeah, Al has started his own ministry. Is it 2 years ago now?
Just about.
Okay. Yep. Coming up on 2 years. And so he's been working with some folks in France because there's not a lot of disability ministry support in France and really in many places in Europe. And so anyway, that things like our, this kind of conversation and disability and the church conference can really be, helpful not only for your ministry, but also for ministry, all across the world. So it's really exciting to see, that a lot of what we discuss here is being taken, to people who may not have really any kind of support, just in their traditional local churches. So.
Yeah, one of my colleagues in France, she hopes to start one of these in France starting in the fall.
Fabulous.
An online monthly idea share.
Fabulous. Yeah, well, we certainly do not have Idea Share copyrighted in any way. So, she should call it Idea Share and hopefully people will come and, there's just lots of opportunity there. So that's really exciting that we had a little part in maybe helping, that idea to come together. So, well, thank you for mentioning mental health in the church. I definitely want to take the time before we wrap up. We are hosting our very first mental health conference called Mental Health in the Church. It's September 26th and 27th. It's going to be at Bay Presbyterian Church in Cleveland, Ohio. If you've been to our events prior to DATC 24, we always hosted at Bay Presbyterian Church. So we have a great lineup of speakers that is a mix of people that we invited and people who applied. We have a really good kind of across the board look at just, kind of what is being done in churches, what, lived experience kinds of presentations and wisdom gleaned from that, as well as, what's being done kind of on the academic research kind of angle of things. So I just really encourage all of you, if you can, we would love for you to participate. I'm going to be doing a couple of things between now and the conference to really help people understand, what the difference is between a DATC kind of event versus this kind of event. But bottom line, you just need to be there. So you didn't get the very, lowest price like Al did, but you can still get a really good price. So keyministry.org, we've got it on our homepage, but we also have a special page, MHATC 2024. So we hope that all of you will check that out and hope you can be there. So with that, thank you so much for joining today. This has really been a tremendous conversation. And I always start, have like a little list of things that I can use as kind of a go-to if there's a lull in the conversation, but I didn't have to use any of that today. So you guys just have a lot going on, and thank you so much for sharing. I also want to close quickly in prayer, but you know what? I'm going to do that after I stop the recording. So, so just hang on for a second after I say goodbye to the audience. But thank you so much for joining Key Ministries Idea Share, and we'll see you here next month.